France has just voted to make abortion a constitutional right. France has become the first country in the world to explicitly include a right to abortion in its constitution. How do they do this? French constitution works a little bit different from ours. The France's Revolution was a little different from ours. The American Revolution was much more conservative. The French Revolution was extremely radical and bloody. And so France has a constitutional council, and France's parliamentarians have voted to revise the country's 1958 constitution to enshrine abortion as a matter of women's freedom. So this has been building for a while. In a 2001 ruling, France's Constitutional Council based its approval of abortion on the notion of liberty enshrined in the 1789 Declaration of the Rights of Man. So this is the document that expresses the view of the French Revolution. And it's technically part of the Constitution. And that to me is the key to the whole thing. Since the French Revolution, since 1789, you have seen bloody, bloody radicalism in France and spilling out throughout Europe. And this new abortion law is just the latest bloodshedding from that revolution. How many babies will be killed because of this? Can't even be estimated. But this is part of the revolution, you know. I mean, I won't sing the French national anthem in French because my French isn't very good. But it's right there in the lyrics. Her bloody standard has been raised. Do you hear in the countryside the roar of those ferocious soldiers? They come right into your arms to tear the throats of your sons. This is the lyrics of the French national anthem. Allons avant la patrie. You know, I said I wouldn't do it, but there you have it. The lyrics are very, very bloody because the French Revolution, which overthrew the church and the throne, which you can never really overthrow the church, but it overturned the altar at least. It's where we have the origins of the modern terms right and left. The right and the left first described where people were sitting in the National Assembly. And on the right, you had the conservatives, who were the monarchists and the Catholics. And on the left, you had the leftists. You had the revolutionaries. You had the people who were secular, atheistic, and leveling and egalitarian and all the rest of it. And unfortunately, they won. And that bloodiness has been written in from the beginning. And you know what else is crazy? Even with this horrific turn of events in France, France still broadly has a more conservative abortion policy than the United States. The United States doesn't have any guaranteed right to an abortion any longer in the Constitution. Though liberal jurists pretended that we did until 2 years ago? They pretended that we did for almost 50 years because of the Roe v. Wade decision. So actually, I guess we were ahead of the curve, even vis-a-vis revolutionary France. But furthermore, in certain states in the country, you could have an abortion until the moment of birth or after birth. I guess in the case of Virginia, according to Democrat Governor Ralph Northam, if a baby comes out, you don't want the baby, you can make him comfortable and then wait to see if you want to kill him or not. In France, the limit used to be 12 weeks, and then they raised it some years ago to be 14 weeks, but there's still a clear limit on when you can have an abortion. So we read this news in France, we say, oh my goodness gracious, this is so bloody, this is so horrific, this is so evil. And then you look at the policy in the United States, you say, well, our own policy has been just as bad, and practically speaking, in a lot of the country is much worse, really causes an American to take a look in the mirror. Bobby Kennedy Jr., his father ran for president and was assassinated while running. His uncle was the president, was assassinated while president. Joe Biden, I think, still won't give this guy Secret Service protection. That's not a good look either. But Bobby Kennedy was running in the Democrat primary, but he's got some appeal to conservatives. He's an old-timey kind of Democrat, a 1960s kind of Democrat. He's still a big liberal, but the country's moved so far to the left that some conservatives now are happy with 1960s liberalism. Not me, but some people on the right are. And because Bobby Kennedy was right during COVID. So because Bobby Kennedy has this strong focus on vaccines, and for decades now he's said that vaccines are not particularly safe, during COVID, he was so skeptical of big pharma and the medical industry that he turned out to be proven true in his skepticism. proving correct in his skepticism. So a lot of right-wingers like him for that. Anyway, he was going nowhere in the Democrat primary. He was polling 20%, but that seemed to be the ceiling. And the party, because the Democrat Party has much more control over its nomination process, they weren't going to let him go anywhere. You saw how unfairly they treated Bernie Sanders back in 2016. It was going to be that times 20 with Bobby Kennedy. So then Kennedy decides to run as an independent candidate because he was pulling a lot of right-wing voters anyway. Now, however, the reports are that Bobby Kennedy is looking to be the Libertarian nominee for president. So according to Ron Nielsen, who was the campaign manager for the 2012 and 2016 Libertarian Party presidential nominee, he says there's a lot of buzz going on. There's a lot of interest in Bobby Kennedy. If he were to say that he were to accept the nomination of the Libertarian Party, that would probably change a lot of heads. There are people within the Liberty movement that would like to help him. And okay, that's what the Libertarian Party says. What does Kennedy say? Well, according to a source in Kennedy's orbit, quote, there is a willingness of people in the Liberty movement to consider Bobby for sure. This was a campaign source speaking on the condition of anonymity. He is a rogue punk rocker of the political system. So it seems as though Kennedy is at least open to the prospect of being the Libertarian nominee. Why would he do it? You know, the Libertarian nominee for president is never going to win the presidency. At least if Bobby Kennedy is running this independent campaign without a political party behind him, it seems as though maybe he's got a chance. This is unheard of. He's shaking things up. But if he's just going to become the Libertarian Party nominee, it seems like he's marginalizing himself, right? Well, Kennedy wants to appear on the ballots around the country. And in order to appear on the ballots around the country, you need to have some party support. You need to have some kind of operation, a national apparatus. He currently lacks that. So I think it makes perfect sense for him to do that. The Libertarian Party is one vehicle for him to do that. He's not going to run as the Green Party candidate. He's not going to run as some other party candidate. So I guess it's a natural fit. And he is kind of a libertarian. The 1960s liberals are kind of libertarians today. I mean, libertarians are a very broad group, and I mean, no disrespect. They're the kind of internet lolbertarians who are basically just neoconservatives who like to do drugs. And then there are the more hardcore, principled libertarians who, have miniguns on their ranches and, are willing to start firing anytime even a county level government agent pops up anywhere on the horizon. So it's a big tent, I guess you would say, for the libertarians. But it's a natural fit, and Bobby Kennedy's not going to be president anyway, so might as well get as many votes as he can, as far as I'm concerned. But again, still a losing proposition. I like it because I think he'll pull more votes from Biden than he will from Trump. That's been my contention the whole time, and the polls seem to have proven me to be correct, much as I hate to say I told you so. So okay, happy to do it. Good for the libertarians, good for Bobby Kennedy, but most especially good for the conservatives and Trump. Fine by me. Man, what a great clip that was, huh? It was good, wasn't it? We can be honest with each other. Well, if you agree with me and you, then you got to ring that bell. Subscribe. We'll see you next time.